Trash Talk Radio, back again. Segment 2. Guru, you know what that means, man.
It's that plug time.
Plug time. Trash Talk Radio and TrashTalkRadio.com, brought to you by the WorldOfSportsNetwork.com. World of Sports Network, connecting the world through the sports we love. Get yourself over to the World of Sports Network page and find the Trash Talk Radio. We got the Sports in Order. We got the On-Court, Off-Court guys. We got the Denton Day podcast. All kinds of great stuff. New stuff all the time coming out on the World of Sports Network. Not only that, but you should head over to the World of Sports Network YouTube page. Subscribe to that where you can find the Trash Talk Radio videos. You can find the other videos we're doing. All the good stuff over there too. If you're looking for me, Lestro, you can find me on Twitter every day at More or Lestro. More or Lestro on Twitter. And the Guru is, of course, on Instagram at Guru's Film Room. It's just his thoughts, man. Just his thoughts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One more time, Guru. TrashTalkRadio.com.
And it's that hashtag 10K for TTR.
There we go. Trash Talk Radio back on the air. Guru, we've got our special guest coming to us this week, all the way from Toronto, Canada. Other side of the country.
You know, we love the
other
six,
country.
baby. We love the six. Other country.
Other country.
Other side of the country.
Other side of our country.
We love the six, baby. We love the six.
Our special guest is our Milo and Hez from Toronto Talk Sports, TorontoTalkSports.com. Guys, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Welcome, fellas.
Thanks for going on, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Seattle.
So let's show we know everybody knows who you guys are. So you guys tell which is which.
I'm Milo.
And I'm Chocolate Hez.
That's what I like to hear.
The darker chocolate.
hey, man, TTR is only big enough for one dark chocolate, all right? There's one dark chocolate, but you know what? We can make exception because it's two different countries.
That's right. You got to have a Canadian version.
You got the Canadian dark chocolate version, and we got the American version, man. And we both got a vanilla puddings right here, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Yes, sir.
Well, fellas, before we get started here, we're here to talk a little bit of NFL preview. We're going to do AFC East with our boys out there. So let's just get it started and ask you, where do you root? Who are your teams?
So I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
All right, that's going to be the end of the interview. Thanks for playing.
It's been fun. Bye-bye to the six.
No,
Good night, Canada.
my loyalty lies in the AFC North, man.
What about you, Hez?
Yeah, I'm a Pats fan, man.
That's even worse.
Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, let's get it done. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. Well, as an Eagles fan, I would just like to say, yeah.
And right now, as a free agent fan, we're leaning towards Kirk Cousins. I'm still in the wings. So, I can't really say. I was born a Redskins fan. I still bleed burgundy and gold, but right now our marriage is kind of going through a separation.
It's a bit rocky.
It's a little bit rocky because they let go of my commitment,
I think
my
the Redskins
quarterback.
need to change their name. The Redskins need to change their name.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%, Hez. Me and Hez. We're on this one. So, boys, you're not Bills fans? Don't you get games up there from the Buffalo Bills from time to time?
Don't you get free tickets to go down and watch the Buffalo Craps? The
yeah,
Buffalo Bills.
All I know them of is jumping through tables.
Yeah.
And going pretty crazy, but no Bills fans here.
Yeah, it's probably they're actual football fans. That's the problem with the Bills up there. So, fellas, let's talk a little bit about the AFC East this year. It has been, for years, the Patriots division. And, frankly, I almost blame the rest of the division on this because they've been awful and sort of giving this division.
The division of shitholes, I call it.
Just giving the division away to the Patriots year after year, man.
Since I've been watching the division, I think the Jets made the playoff maybe one or two times with Rex Ryan.
Yep.
When they have Revis.
Yep.
I remember the Dolphins when they had that Wildcat bullshit phenomenon for 1 year.
Yep.
They might have made the playoff.
Bills made it last year, first time in forever.
First time in since who knows
the
when.
90s.
So it's like, and I always ask this question, is Tom Brady the greatest GOAT ever to have the easiest path to being great from any great players? That's my question I want to ask.
That's a good question.
I'll let him answer since he's the Patriots fan.
Well, certainly, guys, I'm not going to lie. I'm a Patriots fan, as I said. The AFC is by far the weakest division, not just in the NFL, but perhaps in all of the major sports, the North American major sports. And has Tom Brady had an easy path to the conference finals, to the AFC Championship? Sure, he's had an easy path. He's taken advantage of, obviously, weaker competition.
Incompetence, ownership, and GM.
Everywhere around, man.
Absolutely, but you have to be good. You have to be great, obviously, to get to that point, to take advantage of that situation. You have to stay healthy. There's a lot of things that have to happen. Luck plays a factor as well. But I'm not going to sit up here and say that, they haven't been lucky. Of course they've been lucky. They've been fortunate, and they've taken advantage of the situation.
And the truth is, they've also been good. It can't be denied that they've been good.
They've been great.
So compared to historically with the Patriots team, I'm looking at this with the roster. I see this roster. And in my opinion, do you think this is the worst put together roster in the Belichick-Brady era?
I think if you look at the team as a whole, they certainly have a lot of holes in different areas that they need to address. But, as long as you have Bill Belichick as your coach, Tom Brady as your QB, and Gronk, if he stays healthy, they'll come out of the AFC East once again. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think as long as you're in the AFC East, they're making the playoffs.
So the answer to that question is, as long as Miami Dolphins, as long as New York Jets, and as long as the Buffalo Bills are the opponents in that division, they will always be fine.
Absolutely. As long as they have those three guys that I mentioned, I think they'll be fine. It's not going to change. I think the stability of excellence that they've continued to have over the years and the carousel of the coaching staff and the quarterbacks for the other three teams is just helping the Patriots no matter what. And I think they'll once again come out of the AFC.
The Patriots have lost quite a bit this year, especially at the wideout spot, wide receiving position.
They get Donta Hightower back, which is huge for them on defensively.
Which is big. Yeah.
It's true.
But even with Julian Edelman out 4 weeks, he's out a month, that might play a factor in their first 4 games. But at the end of the day, I think you hit the nail on the head. One of the things that makes Tom Brady so great, he doesn't necessarily need to have, star or well-known wide receivers or tight ends or whatever this. And obviously, they do have Gronk. But these guys have a reputation, particularly Tom Brady, with getting guys who, nobody really knows, nobody's really heard about, and taking them to the next level. He seemed to really master that, that short pass, that mid-range game, if you will, using a basketball kind of terminology. And, their offensive schemes have been amazing. And they don't need to have, the most well-known, guys at the wideout slot or, tight end, whatever. They actually create guys, and they help guys to actually create a name for themselves. And that's one of the things that makes Tom Brady the greatest quarterback in the league right now. Whether he's the greatest of all time, that's up for debate. But he's definitely in the conversation.
Definitely a system there.
Yeah, it's facts, man. You can't go wrong with facts. I mean, it is what it is.
So from one quarterback situation we know and understand to one that is a little more up in the air this year, we saw the Bills make the playoffs for the first time in forever and then lose their quarterback. So what's going on with Buffalo this year, man?
Well, I would have to think that, they drafted Josh Allen. He was 7th overall in this past year's draft. They have Nathan Peterman, who hasn't really shown me much. I think he played a few games last year or whatnot. But Josh Allen, he was, 9 for 19 in the preseason opener. But apparently he's got a really electric arm. He could throw the deep ball quite well. And now he's got Kelvin Benjamin over there with him. So that's going to help. I mean, Kelvin Benjamin, he said he needed an accurate quarterback.
But let's be honest. He also called Peterman an accurate quarterback. And that we know is not true.
And also, we also want to add Josh Allen probably had one of the worst accuracy percentage of every elite quarterback.
Yes.
So all the words about accuracy seem like it's the other way around.
Right?
Yeah.
So should we expect the Bills to repeat, or are they doomed to be throwing each other through tables again for eternity?
So here's my thing. My prediction is the Bills are going to win a total of, let's check this out, guys, 1, 2, 3. I have the Bills winning 3 games this season. I have them falling out of contention, 3-13. They have no QB. They're a mess. Look at the LaShawn McCoy situation.
Yeah, right.
The legal troubles that, seem to, obviously, I'm sure we've all listened to the news. We know what's happening there. The allegations with his ex-girlfriend, that whole home robbery situation is kind of reminding me of a potential, past Ray Caruth situation way back in the days that he was involved in some shady business. Shady,
Yeah, right.
No pun intended.
Shady got some shady.
Actually, pun fully intended. No, but on a serious note, he could seriously be lost for the season if certain things remain true. I mean, it's just not a good situation for the Bills, particularly with no quarterback. I don't see them winning more than 3-4 games at the most this season. I don't.
So you basically seen the Bills being the Bills.
Yeah, reverse.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
Bills. The Bills back to being the Bills. Johnny Cab's not going to like that at all.
No, he's not going to like that.
They lost Incognito as well, so that's going to
Yeah.
be a huge loss in the defensive end. So.
That is Wilkinson, dude.
All right, so from one rookie quarterback question in Buffalo to another rookie quarterback situation down in North Jersey. Talk to me a little bit about the Jets. Is Sam Darnold the guy who's gonna make that happen for them?
Is he the Messiah everybody's talking about in the Big Apple?
Yeah, well, you know what? He certainly looked impressive in week 1 of the preseason. Obviously, it is the preseason. Week 1, he was, 13 for 18 for 96 yards and a TD. A lot of expectations for this young man. But keep your eye on Teddy Bridgewater as well. Yeah. He was 7 for 8 in that game. He's looking for a big comeback. He's coming off that huge injury in Minnesota. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I know the fans are on the Sam Darnold bus.
Yeah, I think it has to be if you're a Jets fan. You know, you need that new hope to ride on. You know,
absolutely. What, the last time they made the playoffs, they had Mark Sanchez as their quarterback.
Right? Is that the butt fumble?
No, he is.
So my thing I'm worried about the Jets is obviously they got a new toy, which is a new quarterback, like what we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Once you start your quarterback, you have a first-round pick. You know what that means. You're going to play with that toy.
Yeah.
So my question is Todd Bowles, obviously he's not locked in as a long-term fix. Is Todd Bowles, will Todd Bowles be the coach that'll coach Sam Darnold for the future?
Well, it all depends how they do. I don't necessarily see them doing too well this year. I mean, how much can you really trust a rookie quarterback? So I don't necessarily see them doing too well. Obviously, they're in a weak division, so they'll be playing divisional opponents like whatever 6 times or whatever the case. I have them, possibly second, maybe third in the division. Buffalo, as I said earlier, I mean, I see them winning 3 games, so they'll certainly be last in the division.
Oh, I want to see what you think about the next.
Hang on, yeah, we'll get to that.
I'll tell you guys this. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Terrell Pryor, the wide receiver. He hasn't really played the greatest, whatever. I just think that it could be potentially a new good opportunity for him to kind of assert himself, in a new team. He's played in, I believe, 7 different teams in his 8 years. So hopefully he's finally found a home and he can kind of take that next step and get some credibility in the league. But it won't be easy. It definitely won't be easy.
Hey, and I'll tell you one thing.
I think these teams in the AFC East and all around the league need to stick with their coaches a little bit longer. You know what I mean? I think it's just, you see these 1- and 2-year deals and then they're done. Let them go through the growing pains. Todd Bowles has been around a long time. He's been a great assistant coach. I think, let him build. Let him build his franchise to where it needs to be. Give him some time. Obviously, if you don't see the results right away, you're quick to make a change. But I think if you give him 2-3 years and see what happens, then they can make a decision. But I would like them to stick with him.
I'm with you on this one. I think that when you got a rookie quarterback, that's what you got to do.
For the most part. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, man.
All right, so that takes us to the last team in this division, which, frankly, we assumed were going to be the
worst
last team
in football.
But you got the Bills. Let's talk about the Dolphins, man.
That seemed like the biggest mess of a mess over there. I see a mess in every aspect, from the GM to the head coach to the quarterback. I mean, I see a dumpster fire over there in Miami, man.
Well, let's start with that quarterback situation. They're getting Tannehill back this year.
Right.
Guys, is that going to matter?
Is that a good thing or bad thing?
Tannehill, he's an average quarterback. I mean, he's shined, he's had his moments here and there. I don't see them doing. I mean, once again, they're in the weakest division, probably, the most, as I said earlier, irrelevant division, likely in all of pro sports.
All of sports.
I really don't expect too much. What was the record last year? 6? Did they win 6 wins?
I think they had 5, no? 5 or 6 wins.
Yeah, it was a dumpster fire, man.
But anytime you bring in Jay Cutler as your savior, you know you've got problems.
Adam Gase don't know what the fuck he's doing over there.
Too much.
Don't get me started on Jay Cutler, because I can't.
And they actually lost Jarvis Landry to their best wideout, so I think that's going to be a pretty.
And they lost Sue. They lost everything, man.
They lost, what did Cam Newton call him? Donkey Kong Sue? Donkey Kong Sue.
So I want to hear your prediction, because you said the Bills, because to me, I think the Bills are a better team than the dumpster fire that's happening over there in South Beach.
I actually like the Dolphins better than the Bills. I think the Dolphins will probably be around about the 5 or 6 win mark. I mean, they're not going to be in contention. But I actually would put them ahead of the Bills.
One thing about the Dolphins is they play New England really tough at home usually.
That's true. Yeah, that's
true. They beat up on Tom Brady last year.
And that one thing I want to tell you, I don't know if you all been in the States. Do you guys know what happens in South Beach in November, December? Okay. Do you think those Patriots guys are really worried what's going to happen? No. Because they always play towards the end of the season. It's usually around Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Right.
You know what they're doing? They're taking their family
to
South
Beach.
Beach.
Fuck out of Boston.
Yes. They're not worried about the Dolphins.
I love it.
One thing I'll point out also is the Dolphins. They did add Danny Amendola, former Patriot.
Oh my God! Not the all-legend Danny Amendola.
With Tom
That's
Brady.
what I was gonna say. Is now you're having Ryan Tannehill throwing them the ball instead of Tom Brady. So
hold up. They lost Jarvis Landry and they got Danny Amendola. Whoa! What an even exchange right there.
Not even at all. But they got Kenny Stills. They got some pieces, but I mean, they could very well be picking number 1 overall next year.
That was the question. Is this a team?
Mike Pouncey. Yeah, I think Mike Pouncey did leave their center.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. Their offensive line is
a dumpster fire, like I keep telling you guys.
They traded last year.
Right. Yeah.
So
that team's a mess all the way from the organization.
So we're looking at the Patriots at the top again, as always, right? And then who do you got next? You got the Jets coming in after that, and then the Dolphins, and then the poor lowly Buffalo Bills.
For me, I would probably put the Jets in second place.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Dolphins in third, and then the Bills in fourth.
Whoa! So you guys both think the Bills are worse than the Dolphins?
Yes,
big time. Wow. I think the Bills have some serious issues. As I said, I see them winning no more than 4 games.
No, I actually got the Dolphins third and then the Bills fourth. So I got the Dolphins a little bit better than the Bills.
Wow, with that shenanigans going up in on South Beach, you must be too far from Toronto. That's a long way down there. Because it is not, because they're closer to Buffalo, so they see the trash.
Hey, guys,
yeah.
As long as my Steelers are holding the Lombardi at the end of the year, I could care less.
So one thing I also want to ask you guys, other than the Patriots, do you see any other team finishing 500 above in this division?
Oh, boy.
No, not. I don't.
To be honest, it's going to be tough. The Dolphins, the Jets might have a chance. It's kind of a toss-up there. But I really don't see it happening. It's going to be tough.
I'm with Milo on this one, just a straight no.
To be honest with you, even my Patriots, I see them somewhat taking a step back. What did we win last year? I think 13 games. I honestly see them finishing possibly 10-6. Obviously, the start of the season without Edelman there. Tom Brady's going to be a year older. They have some issues on the offensive line as well. Their defense, you never really know what to expect there.
And they got a tough first 4 games.
That's another thing. Yeah, their schedule.
I think they play Jacksonville and
Houston. They're going to obviously win the division. That's damn guaranteed. I don't know if they'll win more than 11 games. 10-6, 11-5.
Well, put it like this. They're going to sweep the division, so that means only got to win 4 more out of conference games.
Yep, and they get in.
Yeah, we'll see.
Look, they lost to Miami last year, so who knows if they'll
I forgot doing the South. You're right.
They have 6 games, I believe, against their division, the AFC.
You're right, because they do got to make a trip down to South Beach.
They do, I don't expect Gronk to play well that game.
That's another bye week for New England, but they never mentioned that.
Well, fellas, we are almost out of time here with you. Before we let you go, though, I want to switch gears for just a second because one of the, being in Toronto, we got to ask you an NBA question right away. You know how that goes.
Bring it on.
Tell me a little bit, what do you think's going to happen with the Raptors and Kawhi this year? Is this going to get them over the hump?
With the baby dinosaurs. You guys are not even real dinosaurs yet. With the baby
dinosaurs. T-Rex up in here, man. What's up?
Now listen, I think it was a great move. I think Masai needed to make a change. He said he was going to make changes. I think DeMar DeRozan's time was up, as valuable and as much as he contributed to the city of Toronto, not only on the court but off the court. It was time to move on, and you had an opportunity to get a top 5 player in the NBA, possibly the best 2-way player in the NBA. Yeah,
he's healthy.
Yeah, it could be for 1 year. A lot of people are saying, hey, maybe they do sign him long term. Let's see what happens. But you have a chance right now to get to the NBA Finals. I don't know. I would put Toronto ahead of Philadelphia. Maybe
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, step behind.
Watch out there. This guy's a Philly guy, man.
I like my Sixers, but I still think the Celtics are the cream of that crop right now.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I think the Celtics are still better. But, in a 7-game series, anything can happen. And I think the Raptors have a better bench. I would agree that overall talent for Boston is better than Toronto, but I do think the Raptors have a great shot.
I think Danny Green is going to be huge for Toronto, especially just kind of setting the tone on defense. along with Kawhi Leonard. But it's a big change. And another thing that we seem to forget, obviously the main focus is on Kawhi Leonard, but the Raptors have a new coach as well.
Dumped the coach of the year.
I don't know how that's going to play in effect. But they're definitely top 3 in the East, I would say. I would put them probably a notch ahead of Philadelphia just because of experience and whatnot, particularly if Kawhi is healthy. But definitely I have Boston being the number 1 team in the East, the team to beat. And we'll see what happens if everyone's healthy.
That's another thing with the health. That the Raptors are very fortunate over the last few years to be very healthy. They haven't lost a major player to a key injury. And if they stay healthy, they're a very talented team. I think they're going to utilize Jonas Valanciunas more in the middle. Serge Ibaka coming off a poor playoff, but he's been pretty steady during the regular season. Got Danny Green. OG is a star in the making, I think. So they got a lot of good pieces, a lot of young pieces that they can build around as well.
All right, final question, boys. You guys are up there in Toronto. What should Kawhi not miss? What will keep him in Toronto? You got to go see when you're here, Kawhi. What is it, man?
What would entice the Guru and Kawhi? Because I'm the Guru. Me and Kawhi, we go way back.
Guru might be the greatest two-way player in podcasting.
Damn right. I brought two ways. What's the sights and sound that the Guru need to see and smell and taste, You know
what I would say is just play in that building 41 times a year. You're going to feel the electricity, the atmosphere. The fans in Toronto are very passionate. It gets loud. Playoff time, Jurassic Park outside is crazy. The fans here love their sports. They love their Raptors. Yeah. They will show him support, and I think that's going to be – San Antonio's got a great fan base as well, but I think once he witnesses how much love the city is going to pour into him, obviously, we have CN Tower. We got a lot of nice sights and sounds and Niagara Falls and things like that, but I don't think those things appeal to Kawhi. I think he wants to be welcomed. He wants to be feeling like home. So I think, when he sees the fan love, I think he'll want to stay.
So let me say this, guys, and I'm going to be consistent with what I said on our Toronto Talk Sports podcast, a couple weeks back. I think there's a slim to none chance that Kawhi re-signs, and I don't think it's a big deal at all. I still think the Raptors benefited from that trade because there's a huge crop of free agents in 2019. I think Kawhi's destined for LA. It seems to be that's where he wants to take his talents. And truth be told, and I'll say it right here on the podcast on Trash Talk Radio, that I'm a huge Lakers fan. That's actually my team for life. And, I'd love to see Kawhi Leonard in the purple and gold. I can't lie, man.
I don't know if he wants to play with LeBron, to be honest.
See, one thing I always tell especially our guys from out the country, what makes it difficult, and I think you guys are just in the short end of the stick, unless you guys draft a homegrown, in a sense, draft a player to be a superstar, it's very, very difficult. For being an American-born guy, raised here, went to school here. Everybody knows me from college, from high school to college. And now I have to move my family to go to another country to speak a different language. My kids got to do this. It's very difficult for that. It's basically it.
So hold on. What language do you guys speak in the States?
No, we speak American.
We
speak American.
It's like gutter Canadian.
It's ghetto English. That's what it's called, American.
And with that, boys, we are about out of time today. I want to thank Milo and Hez from Toronto Talk Sports for joining us this week on Trash Talk Radio. If you're looking for them, you can find them at TorontoTalkSports.com. You can find them on Instagram at Facebook at Toronto Talk Sports, and you can find them on Twitter at TO Talk Sports. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to be checking in as the season goes and get you talking a little more AFC East with us.
And when am I going to get my maple syrup, you guys? When am I getting my maple syrup, Canada?
Send me a couple of bottles, no problem.
Oh, my word.
We gotta have you guys on our show one day.
You bet, man. Anytime. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, guys.
Take care, guys. Thanks for having us.
Good night, Canada.
Peace.
All right, buddy. So we got the countdown to kickoff continuing here. We talked a little bit about it last segment. 4 weeks left before the season. You've been telling us your top 5 players at each position as we're getting into it. This week, we're getting into the defensive ends. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. We get into the guys that like to eat that sandwich meat.
Right.
You know what that means?
The quarterbacks, right?
That quarterback, baby.
Yeah, I got a sack lunch to take with them.
I'm talking about that sack. The word sack comes because of these guys, man. If you ever say, man, this is a sack, that's because you got the great defensive end in the NFL. This is the guys that get that check. Because you know who the check is? That quarterback.
They'll get him, take him with him.
That quarterback, because every sack could be $1 million in their bank.
So, Guru, tell us a little bit before we get started what we're looking for when you're looking through the film there on Guru's Film Room. What are you looking at when you're finding a good defensive end? It can't just be the ability to get there. What are we looking for?
I'm breaking it down into two folds. All right, there's two types of defensive end. I'm looking for the traditional 4-3 defensive end. That's who I'm talking about, not the 3-4 as far as the linebacker rush end. I'm talking about traditional 4-3 defensive end. I will discuss the 3-4 pass rush, edge rusher in next week's cycle. But traditional 4-3 defensive end, you have to have the ability to rush the passer. Quick first step.
Right, fast first step.
Fast first step. All right, you got to be relentless at all means, and you got to be versatile because you got to be able to also, while you're going to get the pass rusher, get this sack. On your way to getting the sack, you also got to be able to clean up the running back.
Right.
So you got to have that ability to be aware, to have awareness laterally, peripherally, and your hands, like I said about the D-line, is basically constant. You have to have great hands and great footwork. Hands, feet, movement, and balance is what you need, and I keep repeating it. It sounds the same because it is the same.
It's the fundamentals.
It's the fundamentals.
That's why they call them the fundamentals.
Exactly. That's why you lead. So these guys here have basically the body structure because as a 4-3 defensive end, you got to be long. Long arms is essential.
All right, so with that, let's get into it, Guru. Let's do it Casey Kasem style. We'll start off at number 5. As always, Guru's top 5 defensive ends of 2018. Hey, number 5.
Number 5. This is the thing I love about this position because it's becoming the youthful position. You know, there's so many more younger, talented defensive pass rushers coming out because that's the name of the game. You got to get the quarterback.
Yeah,
get
big and fast guys, too.
So a lot of guys are getting there. So one of my guys, most people might not know, but he's well known here in the Pacific Northwest. My man, Frank Clark from the Seattle Seahawks. No one is going to know about Frank because when you think about the Seahawks historically, you think about the Legion of Boom. You think about Cliff Averill. You think about Michael Bennett. But those guys are gone now.
They're all gone.
They're gone now. So now is the new breed, the new blood. And Frank Clark is going to be the stalemate in that new breed, okay? The last 2 years, just the last 2 seasons, he has 19 sacks on the last 2 seasons. And people don't realize he led the Seahawks in sacks last year.
Right. For all the defensive stars and names that they've had on the team in Seattle, it's actually Frank Clark cleaning up the most quarterbacks.
Cleaning up, like just in a limited role. 19 sacks in 2 seasons in a limited role because he's always been in a rotational role, like I mentioned with the Michael Bennett, the Cliff Averils, the Bruce Irvins, things of that nature. So now
in baseball, we call it platooning.
Platooning, right? So now he's going to get his chance to be the marquee guy to lead the young group of defensive line. And you guys hear this. The Guru foresee Frank Clark finishing with over 14 sacks in this season and be a top 5 as far as the entire league. He's going to have what I call a DeMarcus Lawrence type season, and Frank Clark will be known not only in the PNW but in the entire NFL, and he will be a top 100 NFL player by the end of the season.
This is the year that the league learns Frank Clark's name. This is what you're telling me.
Frank Moneybag Clark, baby. Remember that name, Frank Moneybag Clark, man.
All right, so Frank Clark from Seattle at number 5. Guru, number 4.
Number 4. Speaking with another young defensive guy that likes to get the quarterback. My man from Saxonville Jags. Saxonville.
Had to be at least one of them on this list.
Well, got to be one of them. And I'm sticking with the youth. Young cat. Yannick Nagahu. You know, of course, the Guru always pronounce a terrible name for the Africans.
One more time.
Yannick Nagahu.
I think it's Ngagwe.
Ngagwe, Nagahu, it's Indian, whatever. Yannick Ngagwe.
You know the guy.
Yeah, you know the guy.
You can't spell it. Hey, he's the one we're talking about.
Put it like this. You might not know him, but every quarterback in the NFL knows him. Just the last 2 years, man. 20 sacks the last 2 years. Great young talent, man. Got an explosive first step. He's getting a reputation now in the league as far as the guy that get to quarterback. So I'm looking for this guy to actually break the bank because this year I expect a double-digit sack year, top 10 sack year in the league for him because Saxonville got a platoon of talent in the D-line. So remember this name, Yannick Ngagwe.
That's right? Close enough.
You're gonna remember this guy's name, Yannick Ngagwe. He will be a household name, and every quarterback, including Andrew Luck, Deshaun Watson, and the whole AFC South, will know this guy's first and last name and how to pronounce it. Not like the Guru.
All right, Yannick Ngagwe from Jacksonville coming in at number 4. Guru, let's move to number 3.
Number 3, simple. This is one of my front runner last year for Defensive Player of the Year awards. Right, Cameron Jordan for New Orleans Saints.
You were high on this guy all year, man.
You know how I felt about the Saints, man. This guy had a career breakthrough year. Finished 4th in the league in sacks last year with 13 sacks. And one thing that really got me with this guy is the impact. Even when he wasn't there, he had 11 pass blocks. From the 11. So even if you didn't get the sacks, you know how many times he deflected the pass? 11 times. That led to a couple of those deflections led to interceptions.
Right.
You know, and just ending drives. You know how bad it is for a quarterback to see an open receiver and then the D-line bat the ball down? So that, most people don't put a precedent in that. I look into that. That's a big-time play. In 3rd and 1, and sometimes the corner is not able to get there, but then as a former DB, and you see the D lineman block the ball, you're like, woo!
Yeah, you got to get...
You pull a Ric Flair, you're like, woo! So my man Cameron Jordan had a great career, special year, and now with the new influx of talent with the young New Orleans Saints, I see Cameron Jordan having a special year. I think he's going to double down on last year, and I think this year is going to be the best year he ever had in his career.
All right, Cameron Jordan, the New Orleans Saints, the Guru's number 3 defensive end headed into 2018. Number 2, Guru.
Number 2, man. You know I love this guy. This might be one of my favorite guys in football. Joey Bosa.
You just love his name saying it, man. Joey Bosa.
Man, Bosa has been my guy, my dude, since I've been following him from his recruiting cycles to going to Ohio State. I just love this. I thought this guy coming out, he had one of the best hands, NFL elite hands ready coming out of college. I thought he was one of the best defensive linemen I've seen coming out of the whole recruiting trip since Ndamukong Suh. So I have high praise on this guy, and right now, he's showing why the Guru had high praise for him. Just in 28 games he played in the NFL, 28 games. This guy had 23 sacks in 28 games he have played. You call that a relentless, massive, devastated defensive lineman.
Seriously, that is the start to a career right there, man.
That is the start of a career.
You can build on that.
Build on that. 23 sacks in 28 possible games for Joey Bosa. I love this kid. He got it all. One thing I told you, he got probably the best hand movement in the NFL as far as our defensive line goes, and he's relentless. He's relentless. You won't outwork this guy, and he goes till the whistle is blown.
Very nice. All right. So before we get to number 1, let's review our top 5 going forward. Guru's top 5 defensive ends of 2018. Frank Clark of Seattle Seahawks, Yannick Ngakoue of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Cameron Jordan out of the New Orleans Saints, and Joey Bosa from the Los Angeles Chargers. I still can't get used to saying that. Guru, the Los Angeles Chargers. Who does that leave us at number 1 then?
Simple. The biggest, the baddest, the biggest bull in the block. And please,
this guy.
Somebody pay this man. Khalil, Mr. Devastating Mack. This guy has it all.
Of the Oakland Raiders.
Of the Oakland Raiders. There's nothing much we could say. I think anyone that watches football, that knows football, knows Khalil Mack is the number 1 devastating force, not named Aaron Donald in the defensive line. This guy's versatility does it all. He has a impeccable bull rush. Strong enough, he could take a grown man with kids, with 3-4 kids, and just take him with one hand like this and just push him and pancake him like an IHOP pancakes, man.
I'll tell you what, man, that is big, because anybody who knows, you get a kid, you get that dad strength, so you got 4 of them. That is like exponential, man.
Exactly, man. So Khalil Mack is just a beast, man. Like everything you can do as far as his hand, his strength, his movement, his versatility to drop back as far as coverage. He does it all. He's the best. He's holding out right now because just like Aaron Donald, those guys are the best in the world, okay?
Right.
They're the best on earth. Pay this man his bank. Pay this man his money. Khalil Mack is that good. Sing, walla beam.
All right, so that is our top 5 Gurus, top 5 defensive ends going into 2018. Frank Clark, Yannick Ngakoue, Cameron Jordan, Joey Bosa, and heading up the list, Khalil Mack of the Oakland Raiders. Pay the man, says the Guru.
Get that check, Khalil. Get that check. You know what? And then after that check, I wonder what song he's going to play. Return of the Mac. Hey, Return of the Mac.
So, Guru, with defensive ends out of the way, who we talking next week?
Next week now, we actually going to get the sack. The other sack is that comes from the linebacking core. Now, we got the guys that actually line up and plays, put their fingers on the ground, and go get the quarterback. That's all. The whole job is to go get the quarterback. We're talking about the 3-4 defensive ends, the one that just go get the quarterback.
That is next week on TTR. Make sure you tune in to join that. Well, Guru, that means it is time for the 2-minute drill. Are you ready?
Let's get it.
All right, so here's how we play the 2-minute drill every week on Trash Talk Radio. This is our opportunity to talk about the things that we didn't get a chance to talk about in the show so far. I put 2 minutes on the clock. I start lobbing questions at the Guru. Are you ready?
Let's get it.
Here we go. Question number 1. Our boy in Toronto, Luca, with the Waterboy Report, posted this week a thing asking if LeBron James is the greatest Laker. Quote, the greatest Laker. What do you think, Guru? Is L.A. Bron the greatest Laker?
L.A. Bron is probably the biggest Laker.
Uh-huh.
Is the biggest Laker, but I would hate to say this. I think Kobe Bryant is the best Laker.
See, and I said that I think LeBron may be the best player ever to wear a Lakers jersey, but he's not the greatest Laker.
He's not the greatest Laker.
He's the greatest Cavalier. He's not the greatest Laker. Let's be honest.
He's not the greatest Laker.
All right. So let's see. Well, before we leave football, before we leave basketball, Dwayne Wade said this week that if he plays this year, it's only in Miami. He's turning down the $25 million 3 years in China. My question is, do we see Dwayne Wade, and will it be with Miami?
Dude, Dwayne Wade, you think you're the only one I just want to play in Miami?
Right?
Come on, dude. Like yes. If I have a choice, I only want to play in Miami too. And he's not talking about the court. He's talking about off court.
Right.
You know, just like it's a business decision for Dwayne Wade. That's what we all do. KD made a business decision. You know what? D-Wade, Wade County, just grow old in Miami, man.
So you think we see him this year? You think we see him in Miami?
Yeah, him and Pat. That's his boy, man.
That's true, but I think if LeBron calls, he goes to L.A. too. You can bet on that. All right, over to football. The Browns this week traded their former first-round pick, Corey Coleman. That means of 11 first-round picks that the Browns have had from 2009 to 2016, none of them are with the team anymore. 11 first-round picks, none of them with the team. What the hell are they doing in Cleveland?
Wasn't that the same team that went 0-16?
Could be.
So if you don't win a game in the NFL, I don't care if you're first round, second round, you won't be on my team.
You got to get out.
You got to get out, son.
We
ain't talking about the movie Get Out, but you got to get out.
Staying with football, Aaron Rodgers this week blasted his young receivers, saying they had a piss-poor effort in practice. Guru, go.
Aaron Rodgers, I'm talking to you right now, buddy.
Woo!
What have you done to deserve to talk like this? You are the biggest, best player to ever. They're just the biggest gluttony of best player in the history of the league, okay? You only won one Super Bowl. You have not dominated your division or your conference. Drew Brees is arguably better than you, okay? You can dominate Russell Wilson. You haven't dominated Cam Newton. You haven't dominated Eli Manning. You have not done anything to deserve all this pass we're giving you, Aaron Rodgers. So all I'm saying is P-A-U-S-E. Double verticals on Aaron Rodgers until you get me 2 Super Bowls.
And there it is. I knew that would set you off. Guru, I know the horn sounded. I got one more question for you. This week, I paid through the nose to go see Pearl Jam. Is there any band that you would just, it doesn't matter the amount of money, if they're playing, you're going to see? Anybody like that you're like, you know what, Jay-Z's in town, I'm going. If anybody comes through, is there anybody that gets your money no matter what?
You know what? And this is just between the Guru and nobody else. Y'all don't tell no one about this.
Don't tell no one.
Don't tell no one about this. But if them Spice Girls come back, you know what I'm saying? Hey, if them Spice Girls come back, man, you know, hey, I might do a little something. Tell me a little something. What is it? I'll do a little something. You know.
Tell me what I want, what I really, really want.
I tell them what I want, what I really, really want. I want
Spice Girls.
I don't want to get in trouble, man.
All right. Well, Guru, that takes us to game time.
Oh, man, let's do this.
Here we go, game time. Game time. Game on. Game on.
Sounds like game time to
We
me.
should do, the three of us should play a game of stickball.
All right, Guru, as always on Game Time, right answers get us Marv.
Yes!
Wrong answers get us Rabel.
It's no good!
This week for the game, we had talked about it. I mentioned it early in the show that I went to see Pearl Jam at Safeco Field, home of the Seattle Mariners this week. So I thought for this week on Game Time, we'd play a little bit about things that happened at stadiums that aren't their normal sports. So, Guru, I'm going to ask you questions about other things that happened at stadiums. Are you ready?
Oh, man, I know a lot of things that happen in the bucket list of the Guru Stadiums, dog.
Here we go.
This is NC-17.
Question number one. That's not getting into that. All right, question number one. While the attendance figures for Pearl Jam's 2 sold-out shows are still unknown, prior to this week, what event held the record for the most people ever to pack into the baseball stadium, Safeco Field in Seattle? What event had the highest attendance? Was it WrestleMania, a Bernie Sanders rally, Beyonce and Jay-Z, or the short-lived Seattle Bowl college football game? What drew more people, the highest attendance at Safeco Field? WrestleMania, Bernie Sanders, Beyonce, Jay-Z, or the Seattle Bowl?
I thought Adele came in there and just killed it, man.
I don't even know if she played Safeco, though.
Oh, okay, Safeco. I thought those guys, not Pearl Jam, the other band, man, they killed it a couple last year. I remember that.
Well, U2 was over.
U2, yeah.
They were at a CenturyLink.
Oh, it was Century.
Yeah, they're the
Never
football
mind.
field.
You're right. Easy, J&B.
J&B is an excellent guess.
It's no good!
It was actually WrestleMania in 2003.
I should have known Vince. Oh, 2003?
2003, they packed it in,
Oh, yeah,
man.
I was still watching that then, man.
Yeah, I don't even remember it.
Hey, if MTV World will come to Safeco, no, what is it, CenturyLink?
Safeco.
Safeco?
Safeco.
We talking about
Safeco.
Look, fuck all this Safeco Century shit. Next question.
Interestingly enough, WrestleMania not only held the record at Safeco for the longest time, but they also held the record for the largest indoor attendance ever from 1987's WrestleMania 3 at the Pontiac Silverdome. They had 93,000 people to watch WrestleMania that year. That record held until 1999 when what outdrew WrestleMania in St. Louis? Was it another WrestleMania? Was it an evangelical Christian conference? Was it Lollapalooza? Or was it the Pope's visit? What outdrew
First of
WrestleMania
all,
3?
the Pope ain't going to St. Louis, so it ain't no damn Pope. All right? Secondly, what was the first option?
Was it another WrestleMania?
No, it was a Christian thing.
Of evangelical Christians?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
It's no good!
Hey, I try to give love to the religious viewers, man.
It was actually Pope John Paul II.
What the hell, Pope, man? What the hell are you doing in St. Louis,
That's
man?
an excellent question.
Man,
Pope.
what the hell, Pope, man? You better. Well, I know what he was trying to do. Trying to get that St. Louis barbecue. I know about that barbecue, baby. That barbecue chicken, Pope. I know you, Pope. I got you.
Guru, speaking of records, what baseball stadium holds the record for the most NFL games held at a single stadium with 365?
Easy. Wherever the Oakland Raiders and the San Diego Chargers, because I always see the baseball field on them. One of them.
Hang on. This is the record held until 2003 when the Meadowlands, which has 2 football teams, passed them. Which stadium had the most NFL games until 2003? Was it Skydome in Toronto? Was it Wrigley Field in Chicago? Was it Cleveland Municipal Stadium? Or was it Shea Stadium in New York? What baseball field had the most football games?
Oh, what's baseball field?
Yep.
You sure
Skydome, Wrigley Field, Cleveland Municipal, or Shea?
Man, you better. I want to check that again. I'm going to stats check that, man, because every time I've started watching football, I always see the Raiders with the baseball field.
All right, that's a good question. The point there is that's a multi-use stadium. This is a pure baseball stadium that they're playing football in.
Okay. Pure baseball.
So is it the Skydome in Toronto, Wrigley Field in Chicago, Cleveland Municipal, or Shea Stadium in New York?
I want to say Shea Stadium.
Ooh.
It's no good!
It was actually Wrigley Field, home of the
I was
Cubs.
thinking between those, man.
The Chicago Bears played in
God
Wrigley
damn it.
Field for like 70 years. They played 365 games.
I didn't know that.
The reason they're the Bears is because they were bigger than the Cubs, all grown up. All right, question number 4. While football on a baseball field is rare, outdoor hockey is even rarer. But in
Is that a word?
But in 2008, the NHL hosted its first Winter Classic at what stadium? What stadium did the NHL host a Winter Classic, drawing 71,000 fans to an outdoor hockey game in January? Was it Wrigley Field, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Ralph Wilson Stadium in Buffalo, or Yankee Stadium in New York? Who hosted 71,000 people to watch outdoor hockey?
I'm feeling catch-up today, baby. What about that Heinz Field, man? I know it's Yankee Stadium, right? Wrigley Field? God damn.
It was Buffalo. In Buffalo, they got 71,000 people to come out and watch hockey in January.
I remember
the hell are you doing, Buffalo?
They had hockey too somewhere in outdoors in Pittsburgh or something.
They did later, yeah. Definitely had the game there. All right, number 5. Speaking of Yankee Stadium, the new Yankee Stadium has hosted a bunch of concerts. During one of them, who famously said, quote, "Who's this Derek Jeter guy? I heard he has more hits than me." Who said that Derek Jeter had more hits than him? Was it, or her? Was it Jay-Z, Paul McCartney, Madonna, or Justin Timberlake? Who does Derek Jeter have more hits than? Jay-Z, Paul McCartney, Madonna, or Justin Timberlake?
Why are you going to make me feel like I'm sexist? Because Jay already know Jeter, so it can't be him. And just the way you use your sexist tone, I think that you try to sound like a girl. Like, I saw that. So I'm going with process of elimination. I'm going with Justin Timberlake.
All right, you got me.
It's no good.
It was actually Paul McCartney because, British female, same thing. But it was actually Paul McCartney.
Same difference.
Got me on that one, Google. All right, question number 6. Interestingly enough, Paul McCartney's former band, a little 4-piece called the Beatles, started this whole stadium thing when they played their 1964 concert where? Was it Fenway, Old Yankee, Dodger, or Shea Stadium? Where did the Beatles come to?
Shea, man.
That is 100% correct.
Shea.
Beatles at Shea Stadium. And finally, Guru.
Because was it called Yankee Stadium back then?
It was a different Yankee Stadium.
Oh, that's on my mind.
Finally, Guru, I know Brazil is close to your heart, so let's end this game in Rio, where in 1994, one artist drew 3.5 million people to the Copa to watch a concert. They eventually held the 2016 Olympics on this beach as well, but what artist holds the record for the largest attendance ever with his concert or with their concert in Rio? Is it Madonna, the Rolling Stones, Rod Stewart, or Prince? Who drew 3.5 million people to a beach in Rio? Madonna, Rolling Stones, Rod Stewart, or Prince?
If the Spice Girls are gonna be in Rio, trust me, they'll bet about 5, 7, 8 million. That's one.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Secondly, it got to be something that got to do with love, because the Guru loves, and the Guru loved the Brazil, so I'm going to go with the Prince.
Ooh, I would have too, actually, if I had to be honest. It's Rod Stewart. Of all fucking people, Rod Stewart has 3.5 million people at their concert.
Rod Stewart, man.
Rod Stewart.
The only Rod Stewart I know is from The Daily Show.
Let's say it was 1994, though. So
that's the only Rod Stewart I know from The Daily Show.
That is John Stewart.
Same difference. That's the only Stewart. That's the most famous Stewart. You know what? You guys tell me, who's the most famous Stewart right now in 2018?
Cordell, obviously.
Who's Bill Stewart? Sean Stewart? If you are Stewart, you're tag the Guru. I'm looking for all the Stewarts out there, man. Stewart this, Stewart this, Stewart that, Stewart the video to the Guru, man.
And that is the time we have on Trash Talk Radio this week. Join us again next week, as always. Our thanks to Heinz at the Sports Me app. And you can always find me, Lestro, at More Lestro. You can find the Guru at Guru's Film Room on Instagram. And you can always go to TrashTalkRadio.com.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Until next time, I'm Lestro.
And this is the Guru.
Thanks for listening.
All the Stewarts, baby. All the Stewarts.
Hashtag 10K for TTR.